Filipinos have shaped American life in powerful, lasting ways. But even in 2025, many still face the harsh reality of deportation as Washington tightens its grip. But here's the thing, not every city is going along with it. In fact, some are standing their ground, loud and proud. They're not just offering legal protection, they're celebrating Filipino communities as vital cultural forces. These 10 cities are stepping up, turning policy into a promise. Because let's be real, America without Filipinos, it just doesn't work, and these cities get it. So let's dive into the 10 U.S. cities that are saying, we're not letting them go, and exactly why.
Number 1, New York City.
The city that never sleeps doesn't just welcome immigrants, it runs on their hustle. And when it comes to Filipinos, New York has made one thing crystal clear. They're not going anywhere. The Big Apple has drawn a bold line. This city does not deport its own. With tens of thousands of Filipinos calling it home, especially in Queens and the Bronx, Filipino Americans are woven into the city's rhythm. They are healing people in hospitals, launching small businesses, keeping airports running, and shaping young minds in classrooms. In 2025, they're not just part of the city. They're essential. They're untouchable. Under Mayor Eric Adams, New York has doubled down on its sanctuary city status. In January, the city rolled out major upgrades to its Sanctuary Plus policy. Translation: ICE has its hands tied here. Law enforcement won't honor immigration holds unless it's an extreme case. The city is even pumping money into legal defense, specifically for Southeast Asian communities, Filipinos included, who've long been overlooked in immigration advocacy. Groups like Migrants New York and the Filipino American Democratic Club are now front and center at City Hall, pushing through real wins: tenants' rights, free immigration clinics, better language access, you name it. And there's more. This spring, New York launched a first-of-its-kind pilot program connecting undocumented healthcare workers, mostly Filipino nurses and caregivers, to jobs and legal help. That's not just protection, that's empowerment. And visibility? It's booming, from flag-waving parades on Madison Avenue to packed-out festivals in Woodside. The Filipino community isn't just surviving, they're thriving. The NYPD even appointed a Filipino liaison officer, and subway signs in Filipino neighborhoods now speak their language, literally. This isn't just diversity, it's infrastructure built on belonging. Number 2, Los Angeles, California. For the Filipino community, LA isn't just another dot on the map, it's home base. In 2025, over 500,000 Filipino Americans live here, making it one of the largest Filipino hubs outside the Philippines. This city doesn't just have a Filipino presence, it breathes Filipino life. From the historic streets of Filipino Town to nurses clocking double shifts across Southland hospitals, Filipinos are deeply embedded in the DNA of this sprawling metropolis. But here's the kicker. It's not just about numbers or culture. It's about power. It's about protection. This year, with federal immigration crackdowns tightening, Los Angeles didn't flinch. It fought back. In March 2025, the City Council passed a resolution that couldn't be clearer. LA will not cooperate with any federal agency trying to target Filipino residents, period. Documented or not, the city officially declared the Filipino community essential, permanent, and protected. And those aren't just feel-good headlines. They come with serious follow-through. City funds are now being funneled into legal clinics offering free immigration defense, housing assistance, and healthcare support specifically for Filipino residents. Meanwhile, California stepped in on the state level with new laws rolled out in January, basically shutting ICE out of schools, hospitals, and any venue with public funding. And who benefits most from that safety net? The very people holding the system together: Filipino nurses, teachers, transit workers. In LA, being Filipino doesn't mean surviving. It means being seen, valued, and shielded.
Number 3, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Sure, Vegas is famous for slot machines, neon lights, and 24/7 action. But in 2025, it's earning a whole new reputation. A rising sanctuary for Filipinos. And we're not just talking about the tourists snapping selfies on the Strip. Behind the flashing lights is a powerhouse Filipino workforce that keeps this city alive. From nurses in packed hospitals to chefs in five-star kitchens, hotel crews, stage techs, Filipinos are everywhere, making the Vegas experience happen. For every dazzling show or luxury stay, there's almost always a Filipino worker behind the curtain. So when immigration tensions spiked nationwide, Vegas did something bold. In February, Clark County rolled out the Community Stability and Support Act, a game-changing law that straight up bans local agencies from working with ICE when it comes to nonviolent immigrants. This wasn't just a policy shift. It was a direct message. The city's labor force, especially its Filipino heartbeat, is off-limits. And now, many Filipino workers, some on expired visas or temporary permits, are protected under brand-new, county-funded legal aid programs. But Las Vegas didn't stop at safety nets. This spring, Nevada's legislature stepped in with sweeping reforms. Now, every undocumented worker has access to labor rights, whistleblower protections, and wage recovery. Translation? No more fear of deportation just for speaking up. And who benefits big time? The Filipino backbone of Vegas. Community leaders didn't wait around. Filipino churches, unions, and immigration lawyers came together fast, building support networks that stretch across the city. And the cultural presence? It's exploding. Filipino food festivals, Tagalog radio shows, even Filipino language mass on local TV, they're not just events anymore. They're part of the city's rhythm. Las Vegas isn't just doing this because it's moral. It's doing it because the truth is clear. Without Filipinos, this city doesn't work. Number 4. San Francisco, California. San Francisco isn't just the land of startups and Silicon Valley. It's a fortress of progressive resistance. And in 2025, no immigrant group is more secure here than Filipinos. Just beyond the city limits sits Daly City, better known to locals as Little Manila, a vibrant extension of San Francisco's Filipino soul. This isn't a temporary stop for the community. It's home. Generations of Filipino families have planted roots here. They're not visitors, they're neighbors, leaders, and essential workers who helped build this city and still hold it up every single day. And when San Francisco says it protects immigrants, it means it, in policy, in funding, and in action. The city's sanctuary legacy dates all the way back to 1989, but in 2025, it's gone even further. After a new wave of federal immigration sweeps began earlier this year, Mayor London Breed didn't hesitate. In February, she pushed through a resolution reinforcing zero cooperation with ICE. That means no data sharing, no detainers, no facility access, nothing. But it's not just about keeping ICE out. It's about building Filipino resilience from the ground up. In April, San Francisco launched a massive $25 million initiative dedicated to immigrant support. That includes free legal defense, housing aid for undocumented workers, and expanded language services, with a sharp focus on Tagalog and Visayan speakers. And the culture? It's not just acknowledged, it's celebrated. The city's public school system now includes Philippine history in its curriculum, and Filipino American heritage events have been locked in as permanent fixtures in the city's cultural calendar. In San Francisco, protecting Filipinos isn't a reaction. It's a core value. Number 5. Honolulu, Hawaii. Honolulu isn't just Filipino-friendly. In many ways, it's Filipino at its core. By 2025, more than 1 in 4 Hawaii residents trace their roots back to the Philippines. And in the capital city, that presence is everywhere. City council members, school principals, police officers, shop owners, you name it. Filipinos aren't just part of the community. They are the community. That's why in Honolulu, deporting Filipinos isn't just unlikely, it's unthinkable. It would be like tearing down the city from within. Everyone here knows it. The local government, the people on the streets, even federal agencies tread carefully. This year, Hawaii's state legislature made it official. The Community Rouse Protection Act passed with strong support, locking in the state's policy of non-cooperation with ICE and directing fresh funding toward immigrant legal aid services. But this wasn't a generic fix. Filipino leaders were at the table, working with lawmakers to ensure protections for mixed-status families and temporary visa workers, the people most at risk. Churches across Oahu have stepped in too, creating grassroots sanctuary networks, and health clinics, they're required to have Tagalog-speaking staff. It's not a luxury, it's part of the infrastructure. While the mainland's still debating immigration policy, Honolulu is celebrating its Filipino identity. The 2025 Filipino Fiesta and Parade shattered all attendance records, and the city officially named June Filipino Contributions Month. Public schools didn't just squeeze in Philippine history as an elective, it's now part of the core social studies curriculum. In Honolulu, being Filipino doesn't make you vulnerable, it makes you vital.
Number 6. Jersey City, New Jersey.
It may not grab headlines like New York or LA, but in 2025, Jersey City has quietly become one of the safest places in America for Filipino immigrants, and that didn't happen by chance. It's the result of strategy, solidarity, and serious political will. With over 20% of the city's Asian population identifying as Filipino, Jersey City isn't just a commuter town across the river from Manhattan anymore. It's a purpose-driven sanctuary, built brick by brick, policy by policy, pridefully Filipino. In January, the city made waves with a bold new ordinance, the Immigrant Shield Initiative. This isn't your standard sanctuary city statement, it's a legal firewall. The law blocks any kind of data sharing or backdoor cooperation between local departments and ICE. That means schools, hospitals, housing authorities, completely off limits. And here's the best part, Filipino American lawyers and activists helped craft it. They're now sitting on city commissions, turning advocacy into actual governance. But Jersey City didn't stop at policy. This spring, the city rolled out a fully funded legal defense fund, guaranteeing free legal representation for any resident facing immigration proceedings, no matter their status. That means Filipino families working in healthcare, logistics, and small businesses now have real muscle when fighting removal orders. And culturally, the city's going all in. June is now officially Filipino Heritage Month, complete with street banners printed in Tagalog lining neighborhood blocks. Food festivals, church processions, student parades, they're not tucked away as side events. They've become central to Jersey City's cultural identity. Here, Filipinos aren't just safe, they're seen, supported, and celebrated.
Number 7. Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago has always worn its immigrant roots proudly, from Polish bakeries in the north to Mexican murals in Pilsen. But in 2025, it's the Filipino community that's front and center in the city's immigrant renaissance. Over the past decade, the Filipino population here has quietly grown into a major force, and now they're anything but quiet. They're organizers, voters, caregivers, educators, and essential workers keeping the city moving. Simply put, Chicago can't function without them. Under Mayor Brandon Johnson, the city has doubled down on its sanctuary commitment. This year, City Hall introduced the Chicago Immigrant Justice Expansion Plan, a sweeping new initiative that pumps funding into legal defense teams, strengthens support for mixed-status families, and, for the first time ever, establishes a Southeast Asian task force. And guess who helped shape that policy? Filipino organizers, leading from the front. The message from Chicago is loud and clear. We're not backing down, no matter what policies come out of Washington.
And the momentum doesn't stop with government.
Local universities like UIC and DePaul now offer Filipino cultural studies. Major public hospitals where countless Filipino nurses work have rolled out Tagalog language access. Public schools across multiple districts are now teaching Filipino American history, finally giving long overdue recognition to a community that's been here since the early 1900s. ICE? They've been pushed out of most city institutions, and community watchdog groups make sure undocumented workers, especially those in caregiving, service, and healthcare, are protected from raids and unlawful detentions. Even the Archdiocese of Chicago has stepped up, pledging its network of churches as sanctuary spaces. In Chicago, being Filipino isn't just safe, it's powerful, rooted, and rising.
Number 8. Seattle, Washington.
Sure, Seattle's known for tech giants, endless coffee, and drizzle, but in 2025, it's gaining a whole new identity, a city where immigrant protection is policy and where Filipino communities stand stronger than ever. This isn't some new trend. Filipinos have been part of Seattle's foundation for over a century, from early 20th century dock workers to today's nurses, educators, and essential workers. Through wars, pandemics, and political storms, Filipinos have kept this city running. And now, Seattle's making sure they're protected in return. In March, the City Council made history by unanimously passing the Southeast Asian Inclusion Act. It's not just a feel-good name. This law delivers. It expands legal aid, guarantees translation services for Tagalog and Ilocano speakers, and directly funds Filipino community centers across King County. But here's the game changer. The law ensures immigrants have legal representation before ICE even shows up. This is proactive protection, not damage control. And it's not just Seattle standing up. Washington State officially declared October 2025 as Filipino American History Month, and they backed it with real action. New labor protections for caregivers, domestic workers, and healthcare aides, roles largely filled by Filipinos, passed with bipartisan support.
Number 9. Anchorage, Alaska. Anchorage might not be the first place that comes to mind when you think about immigrant strongholds, but in 2025, it's quietly become one of the most important sanctuaries for Filipino immigrants. And it's all driven by one powerful force: economic necessity. For decades, Filipinos have kept Alaska's backbone industries alive, from seafood processing plants and shipping docks to hospital wards. In Anchorage, they're not just part of the workforce, they're the foundation. And after the pandemic worsened an already growing labor shortage, city and state leaders realized something critical. They can't afford to lose them. This year, Anchorage took a bold step. The Essential Worker Protection Act was passed by the City Assembly, offering legal protections that shield immigrant workers from ICE inquiries, whether they're at work, commuting, or accessing public services. And this wasn't a top-down decision. Filipino community leaders led the charge, backed by Alaska's Catholic network and worker advocacy groups. Today, churches and community centers host Know Your Rights workshops in Tagalog, empowering immigrants with the tools to stay safe. Labor unions have made it clear. If ICE shows up, they're ready to defend their immigrant members, no questions asked. And it's not just about protection, it's about presence. Filipino influence in Anchorage is growing, both culturally and politically. Schools now officially recognize Filipino American History Month, and community centers host Visayan and Ilocano language nights, keeping heritage alive for younger generations. And here's a first: a second-generation Filipino-Alaskan now holds a seat on the City Council, a historic milestone for the state. Anchorage may be remote, but for the Filipino community, it's become a place of power, protection, and pride. Number 10. San Diego, California. In 2025, San Diego has emerged as one of Southern California's strongest lines of defense against rising anti-immigrant pressure. And at the heart of that resistance is a community that's been deeply rooted for over a century: Filipino Americans. It all began with the U.S. Navy's recruitment of Filipino sailors in the early 1900s. That legacy didn't fade, it flourished. Today, San Diego's Filipino community is everywhere, leading in healthcare, education, retail, and most notably, continuing a proud tradition in military service. But here's the difference. While the military may have brought many Filipinos to San Diego, it's local policy that's keeping them protected now. In 2025, San Diego County expanded its Safe Communities framework, a bold legal shield built to cut off deportation pipelines at the source. Backed strongly by Filipino civic groups, county supervisors pass sweeping ordinances that prevent ICE from accessing jail records, school data, and hospital information, unless they have a court order. No shortcuts, no loopholes. And support on the ground is just as strong. Filipino-led organizations like the Cubo AE Mentorship Program and the Filipino Resource Center have grown into full-scale support hubs, offering legal help, job placement, and mentorship for the next generation. Culturally, the city is stepping up too. This spring, San Diego launched a cultural equity program to fund Filipino artists, educators, and nonprofits, making sure their voices aren't just heard, but centered. And the numbers tell the story. San Diego's Filipino population now exceeds 200,000, and it's still growing. Public schools have introduced Tagalog language programs, while SDSU is investing in expanded Southeast Asian history departments. And during immigrant recognition events at City Hall, Filipino flags proudly fly right next to the American ones. In San Diego, Filipinos aren't just protected, they're honored, empowered, and unshakably part of the city's future.